program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Friday. Happy Halloween. Yes, pre-Halloween. I'm sure everyone's going to be having fun out there. Be safe. But, you know, apparently the Trump administration, they're still going to be throwing out tear gas in Chicago, regardless of it being Halloween. That's a nice thing for kids to see. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. I'll try to be positive. There's a lot of news that is not positive, but I appreciate everybody being here. Quick programming note for you at the bottom of the hour. Tricia Calvarese from Colorado. She is running against Lauren Boebert. She's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Plenty of questions to get to with her. You're on the YouTube Super Chat, hopefully, and the YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. The website is pushingthelimits.live. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitch, we're everywhere. We appreciate you guys being a part of the show. So, I spoke about this yesterday, and I'll speak a little bit more about it today. Judges' rulings on these SNAP benefits that apparently millions of Americans are going to lose their SNAP benefits starting tomorrow. Well, two federal judges have ruled that the Trump administration must tap into billions of dollars in emergency funds to at least partially cover food stamp benefits in November. They're set to lapse for literally tens of millions of Americans, as I said, starting tomorrow because of these government shutdowns. Now, we know that there are government employees all over the country that are going to be struggling a great deal. I was traveling last week, and the TSA agent said, yeah, we haven't gotten paid. So the federal workers who are going unpaid say they're finding it increasingly hard to make ends meet, and quite frankly, I believe them, and I feel for them. GOP leaders are rejecting President Donald Trump's call for congressional Republicans to end the shutdown by eliminating the filibuster. And amid ongoing airport staffing shortages, Vice President J.D. Vance and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, both complete buffoons, are warning that Americans could face a travel disaster as Thanksgiving is on the horizon. Well, yeah, I tend to agree with you. Why? Why is that so? But in the midst of millions of Americans that are going to be losing their food benefits, their SNAP benefits tomorrow, 20 million Americans are going to be losing their medical coverage. What is Donald Trump focused on? Well, earlier today, he posted on his Truth Social how much he loves the renovations in the White House and the gold-plated marble in one of the restrooms. That's what Donald Trump is focused on. As Caroline Leavitt said it, his top priority right now, not to put food on the table for families or to make sure people get the health care that they truly deserve. No. Donald Trump's focus is on this ballroom that he's going to be making millions and millions of dollars off of. Oh, yeah. Donors forked up the bill to build it, sure. Well, who do you think is going to be leasing that out? That's right, Donald Trump, to align his own pockets for him and his family. And, you know, it's pretty simple to me, and it should be simple to you as well, that MAGA Republicans' top priority is lining up their own pockets. As I've said before, and I'll say again, Trump and the Republicans just passed a tax cut that will gift $100 billion annually to the richest 1% in this country. $100 billion. Imagine what that could do to fund SNAP for a year. Imagine what that could do. Because it's not a matter of what this country can or cannot afford. We're one of the richest countries in the world. I think everybody would agree with that. But it's not about that. It's about priorities for the Republicans. And I would like to think that even some people that voted for Donald Trump are finally starting to understand that. Their priorities are not about helping you. They're about helping the top 1% in this country, the tech billionaires. while people like you suffer. That's what this is all about. And I want you to listen to Trump's Secretary of Agriculture, who oversees SNAP. He's at a press conference with Speaker Mike Johnson today. And we'll get to a lot of the things that she said. But she was asked about this contingency fund at USDA, which 2 judges have already ruled on can be used and should be used. Billions of dollars that can help people stay on their food benefits. And listen to what Donald Trump's Secretary of Agriculture had to say about that.
Hello, Chair. This question for the Secretary. The minority leader in the House said yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries, that the term he used was lying, that some of these SNAP benefits couldn't be liberated. Can you explain, refute that, give us your perspective, what their perspective is, and what your why they can't?
Yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity to explain that. So the fact that the Democrats are saying, but wait, USDA has money in their accounts, why it is really their fault, I've seen it over and over and over from some of their leaders, is absolute false, and it is a lie. We have been saying on October 10th we sent messages out, on October 24th we sent messages out. These benefits end on November 1st. Now, let me get down into a little bit of the details on that to better explain. So there is a contingency fund at USDA, but that contingency fund, by the way, doesn't even cover, I think, half of the $9.2 billion that would be required for November SNAP, but it is only allowed to flow if the underlying program is funded. It's called a contingency fund, and by law, contingency fund can only flow when the underlying fund is flowing. So, for example, if today the Democrats say, oh, never mind, sorry, we'll open the government, and SNAP flows, Hurricane Melissa or one of the hurricanes hits, that's the contingency fund that we would use to send more money into the vulnerable communities that are harmed by a specific event like a hurricane. But it is a contingency fund that can only flow if the underlying appropriation is approved. And listen, even if it could flow, it doesn't even cover half of the month of November. So here we are again in 2 weeks having the exact same conversation.
I would just add to that, the Democrats are lying about that, and I think they know that. Some of the ones who are out saying it are actually attorneys. They can read the black letter law themselves. They've even filed a lawsuit, you saw, to try to do it. Why? Because they wanted a talking point. They know that's a frivolous piece of litigation. They know they're going to lose, but they also know it'll take many weeks or months to have that ultimately determined by a court because of the way the justice system works. So they're using it as a talking point to try to claim. I believe they know for a fact that what they filed in the court is false. You know, they're lawmakers. They're supposed to know how the law works. And so the whole thing is just shameful. And they're using the people as pawns in this game. That underlying fund that the Secretary just addressed was unfunded by the Democrats themselves when they voted against the CR. The CR would have kept all this funded. And they chose not to do it. Not once, not twice. 13 times in the Senate, once in the House, 14 overall. Yes, sir.
So that is a bunch of nonsense. Let me go through it and explain. And it's very exhausting how Mike Johnson and basically everybody in the Donald Trump administration lies on a regular basis. And Mike Johnson has been doing that every single day. How Christian of him. I just told you guys that 2 judges ruled that the Trump administration not only can, but must release $5 billion in emergency funding to partially cover food stamp benefits. Judges have already ruled that in the courtroom. You don't need Democrats to do that. How can you blame the Democrats for that? Republicans are in charge of the House and the Senate, and Donald Trump is already out in the go-ahead to do it right now if he wanted to. That's a false, it's a blatant lie. And to listen to Rollins spin on this, she is an absolutely despicable human being, is insane. It's insane. You've got $5 billion just sitting there. You don't need the Democrats. Judges have already said and approved it. This is an emergency. Use the funds. And listening to them spin about this, we're talking about food. Food for Americans that need it. And the one thing that Rollins said correctly today, the one thing, and then Mike Johnson had to try to correct her because it's not our fault, but Rollins actually says something that's true, that, we failed you. Yeah. We meaning them, Republicans that are in office. But listen to what she had to say about this.
A quick follow-up, I mean, because reality is setting in for a lot of people this weekend. So what do you say to the millions of people who stand to lose their food stamp benefits? What should they do?
My message to America is first, the fact that your government is failing you right now. That poverty is not red or blue. It is not a Republican or Democrat issue. It doesn't matter who you voted for or even if you voted. That if you are in a position where you can't feed your family and you're relying on that $187 a month for an average family in the SNAP program, that we have failed you. But I think what's so important, and this is why we keep hammering this, the Republicans have voted over and over and over again to open this government so that these funds don't stop. And for 14 different times, the Democrats have said, no, we are going to hold hostage the most vulnerable families in this country so that we can get our left-wing radical agenda into the government and the governing structure. And to that, President Trump, Speaker Johnson, Majority Leader Thune have said absolutely not, and we're very grateful for that. Please vote yes. We implore the Democrats in the Senate to vote yes to get this government open and these people the benefits that they need to feed their families.
And it's clarifying. When she says we have failed you, she means we, the Democrats, okay? Because as we've just explained, Republicans have voted 14 times to get this done. The president has pleaded with Schumer and Hakeem to open the government, and they told them no.
Notice how Mike Johnson, that little weasel, has to jump in there and say, well, let me just clarify, even though that's the one thing that maybe anybody said in this press conference today that was actually true, when Rollins said, we failed you. Yeah, you guys did. You did. And then Mikey Johnson has to play politics again. Well, let me clarify what she said. What she really meant was it's the Democrats' fault. That's not what she said. What a joke. And again, Trump and the Republicans just passed a tax cut that'll give $100 billion out annually to the richest 1% in this country. Imagine what that $100 billion could do to help those that are needy, homeless, those that need food stamps. And as I said before, and I say again, we are the richest country in the world. It's not what we can or can't afford. Of course we can afford to keep people on food stamps. This is the priorities of MAGA Republicans. They would rather give tax breaks to the top 1% than feed those that are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, that need to put food on the table. Why is this so hard for people to understand? This is happening way before Donald Trump got in there. This isn't just Donald Trump's fault. It's not just him. This is what Republicans have been doing for decades and decades and decades. I'm 45 years old. They've been doing this so long as I've been alive, taking away food stamps. They don't want welfare. They don't want maternity leave. They don't want unemployment benefits. They want to get rid of every government program that can help people that are in this country struggling, and always side with the rich elitists. And they call liberals the elitists. Look at Mar-a-Lago. That's exactly who Donald Trump caters to. Very wealthy, rich white people. Period. There's no reason to get into the weeds here. This is something that the Republicans have done for decades. Right now, I don't understand how anybody could vote for a Republican. I just don't get it. Unless you're a selfish SOB who doesn't care about anybody else and you have a lot of money. I don't know why anybody would vote Republican. They're not lowering your taxes. It's the opposite, unless you're one of the top 1%. They're not helping you get affordable health care. They're taking food stamps off the table. They don't want to help you. They don't want to help you if you lose your job. They would abolish unemployment benefits altogether if they had the opportunity to do so. They would. But yet, they want to make sure no women out there have abortions. But once that child is born, no maternity leave, no government programs to help you. That's not pro-life. The Republicans are anti-life. They're the murderers. They're the murderers. They're the ones that are taking food off the table. All Chuck Schumer, and listen, I don't always defend these guys, but I will here. All Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer want to do is to keep the people that are on food stamps on those food stamps and keep the people that are on Medicaid on Medicaid. They're fighting for regular, ordinary Americans right now, and the Republicans have the audacity to blame Democrats? gives this crap? Probably the same idiots who voted for Donald Trump. That would be my opinion. And then we go to Senator Ron Johnson, who's another right-wing turd buffoon who proved how racist he is. Another old, crusty white guy, a MAGA Republican who hates black people. I want you to listen to him talk about food stamps, and I want you to listen to the verbiage that he uses in describing some of the people that are on food stamps. This is Ron Johnson showing what a racist piece of human scum he is, talking to Rob Schmidt on Newsmax today.
You have Republic. I mean, this is a program that has exploded over the last 20 years, and we are just dumping $100 billion a year into a program that we all know is being so woefully corrupted and exploited. And people are selling their benefits. People are using them to get their nails done, to get their weaves in their hair. I mean, this is a really ugly program. It's weird to me to hear Josh Hawley screaming that we have to protect this and that we're not talking about why is it so ridiculously expensive and exploited, and what can we do to make it better.
I just provided my colleagues another one of my charts yesterday that showed from the inception in the 70s until President Obama, we would fluctuate somewhere between 6 and 10% of Americans on food stamps, right? Then Obama came in, dramatically increased flux of eligibility. Now it's between 10 and 15%. Right now you have 42 million Americans, 12.3% of our population on food stamps. That is not a metric of success. It's a metric of failure. And no, I mean, that program needs to be dramatically reformed. We are making way too many Americans dependent on government. That's what Obamacare did with the Medicaid expansion, which is really pushing out disabled children from care because of, people, because they get paid more, would prefer providing medical services to single, able-bodied, working-age childless adults. I mean, it's sick. I mean, the damage Democrats do with their supposedly well-intentioned programs, but completely poorly designed programs, is incalculable.
Yeah, I don't think they're even well-intentioned. I think it's all just a game to get as many people on them as you can, because then you've got a very reliant base of voters. If they need that program, if they need that money, they're always going to vote for you. So it's just a game of how many can we get on there, and that's why the moment you start talking about doing it responsibly, they freak out, because that's going to be cutting people off of it. I mean, that's the worst thing for their product.
I can't argue with you. The Democrats are all about growing government, which means making more Americans dependent on government.
Yep.
That's not the way to improve our society and really improve those people's lives.
You son of a bitch, you piece of human garbage, you. Rob Schmidt was the one who used the term weaves in their hair. They're getting their weaves in their hair done. You want to talk about racist pigs, those two guys. And then they're talking about, well, this isn't the way it works. This isn't hell. It's about getting votes. No, it's not about getting votes, you dumbasses, you piece of scum, you. It's not about the Democrats wanting to get votes. It's about the Democrats wanting to make sure that people can eat, you stupid morons, you selfish pricks, you. God, these people are some of the worst people that America has to offer. This guy, Rob Schmidt, is talking about they get their weaves done in their hair and they're selling their food stamp benefits, getting $180 a month. And you have Senator Ron Johnson nodding his head up and down like the buffoon racist that he is. We don't want everybody to rely on government, but we do want government to help people when they need help and they're in dire straits, like if they're not working, unemployment benefits, if they don't have money and they need food stamps so that they can put food on the table for themselves and their kids. That's not Democrats asking for your vote and using it as a ploy to get your vote. It's about Democrats being human beings, you right-wing scumbags, you. Rob Schmidt, Ron Johnson, and every one of these MAGA Republican douchebags. I hope they all burn in hell. They think it's such a horrible thing that we continue to give people food stamps that need them. People that are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. You scumbags, you. I'm telling you, man, I've had it. All these MAGA Republicans that think it's the worst thing in the world to be getting $180 a month of food stamps, I hope you all burn in hell. I really do. I wish nothing but the worst for all of you, and I hope you all burn in hell. I'm sick of it. That's what Rob Schmidt and Ron Johnson are saying. Oh, gosh, are these people, and you know what? We know exactly who they're talking about. When he says these people who get their nails done and get their weaves in their hair, they're talking about brown people because they're racist pukes is what they are. I am so sick of these middle-aged, white MAGA Republican douchebags who do not care and do not have empathy for Americans in this country that are struggling. These scumbags who make 6 figures a year, some of them probably a lot more, who have all the health care they need, they can put food on the table. The morons like Ron Johnson and Robbie Schmitty on Newsmax who don't have to worry about any of these things, and they don't know what it's like to have empathy for other people. But $100 billion tax cuts for the top 1%, no problem with that. But God forbid if we throw some of that money towards Americans that are struggling, that are living paycheck to paycheck, or some people that can't even find work, that have families to raise, take that $180 a month, wipe it clean, because the Democrats just want their votes. You piece of human scum, you. Anybody who thinks like that, go to hell. If you're one of those people that thinks it's totally fine for these MAGA Republicans to be taking food stamps off the table, go to hell. I hope you burn in hell right next to Charlie Kirk. And then there's J.D. Vance. That's right, J.D., the couch abuser. Well, this will make you all feel better because J.D. Vance says the suffering is going to get a lot worse. Now, of course, J.D. is blaming Democrats, but here's what he had to say about this today.
On the issue of the shutdown, there is the concern about 42 million people losing their SNAP benefits. Of course. Over this weekend. The administration has moved a lot of money around to pay troops, to pay federal law enforcement, and is telling Congress you can't move money around to pay some of those benefits. Why not? And would there be some push perhaps in the next 48 hours to try to do that so Americans don't go hungry?
Well, here's the problem. If you go back to previous government shutdowns, what has happened is that sometimes the president has tried to make the shutdown as painful as possible on the American people. I give the president of the United States great credit and the entire team for trying to make this as painless as possible. The Democrats are acting irresponsibly. He doesn't want the American people to suffer because of it. But look, right now, this government, this administration, we're like guys running around, with a leak in a damn wall, trying to plug it with bubble gum. And we plug one spot with bubble gum, and we plug another spot with bubble gum, and we plug another spot with bubble gum. Why don't the Democrats just stop this entire charade and reopen the government so that we don't have to try to make this thing work on a shoestring budget, which is what we're trying to do. The unfortunate reality, and we're starting to see this with our aviation industry, we're going to find out the hard way with SNAP benefits. The American people are already suffering, and the suffering is going to get a lot worse. Not because the President of the United States has failed to make the shutdown painless. He's tried to do everything that he can to make it as unpainless as possible. The reason that pain is coming and the reason it's building is because we're not passing the clean bill to reopen the government. It's a very easy thing to do.
So you're not...
Yeah, the clean bill to reopen the government will take 20 million people off of Medicaid coverage. The clean bill to open the government takes billions of dollars away from those who are receiving food stamps. But J.D. Vance doesn't want to talk about that. Either they'll deny it or they'll lie about it. That's why the Democrats don't want to go through with this, because once it's in law, it's in law. And all these people already are going to be losing their food stamps tomorrow. And J.D. Vance is such a lying imbecile. He knows. He knows that there's $5 billion just sitting there that Donald Trump could use for an emergency situation to keep people on food stamps. He knows that Donald Trump and the Republicans gave the top 1% $100 billion in tax cuts. He knows that money should have been used for Medicaid help. That money should have been used for food stamps. But instead, his rich friends get those big tax breaks. But J.D. Vance knows that. Trust me, he knows. And then we go to Mike Johnson again, because this is something else that I haven't talked a lot about on this show. But Trump's lawless strikes on these boats, killing people, we don't know who they are. I guess we're on the honor system here. And one of those boats was struck, and a few people survived it, went back to their homeland country. They investigated and said there's no evidence of any wrongdoing. But yet we're just supposed to be on the honor code with Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, and they don't give us any information on who these people are. All they claim is that, there's drug smuggling, there's drugs on the boats. So they're just executing people. They're just executing people. Now, call me crazy, but I don't think any president should get a blank check to murder people, and as many as he wants to, with literally zero oversight. Have a listen to what Mike Johnson had to say as he dismissed it as Democrats criticizing Trump's lawless strikes on these boats and killing people. Listen to this.
They're upset, Mr. Speaker, because they say there's no legal basis, there's no evidence to prove what the president is saying. What's your response?
To the shock of no one, House Democrats are not satisfied with the briefing from the Trump administration. I mean, give me a break. If they came out and said they were satisfied, they would be pilloried by their own supporters. Again, they're motivated out of fear, and as you said, Ainsley, Trump derangement syndrome. Look, I've been to a briefing with the Secretary of State himself, the Gang of Eight, and we heard what was going on there. I'm not going to say the classified parts, but I will tell you, we have exquisite intelligence on exactly what we're doing, who is being targeted. They're bringing massive amounts of deadly narcotics into the country. Fentanyl was a leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 49 during the Biden years. We have a president now who is protecting the American people, and they ought to be applauding that instead of criticizing it.
Really? Okay, then why don't you show us the evidence then? Don't you think the American people have the right to know? Or are we just on the honor system? I don't think any president, like I said, should get any type of blank check to murder people. As many people as he wants, it appears, in these boats. No oversight at all. And I'm sorry, I don't trust Mike Johnson either. Oh, well, trust me, we have the evidence. That's not how this country works. It's an opinion that Mike Johnson and Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are holding, that these people that are on these boats were transporting drugs. But you see, they didn't get any due process. And there's no proof that's been presented to anybody. Yeah, I'm sure Jesus would agree with Mike Johnson. This is insane. Can you imagine if the Biden administration did this or the Obama administration did stuff like this? They're just randomly killing people with no evidence, no basis of fact, no proof that they're presenting to the American people or really anybody. Just trust us. Trust us. They're really bad people that are smuggling drugs. Oh, we know. Yeah, we know. It is amazing. Yeah, I am getting choked up, literally and figuratively. By the way, this is why you shouldn't have peanuts before you go on the air. This is an embarrassment. There is absolutely no evidence, no proof presented really to anybody of who these people are on these boats. And like I said earlier, there was a strike on one of these boats. 2 people survived. They went back to their homeland. There was an investigation, and they were told, well, there's no evidence of wrongdoing. But let's just believe the Trump administration. Let's just believe Pete Hegseth. Oh, nothing to see here. Yeah, okay. What an absolute joke. What an embarrassment. So here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. And to talk about this when we come back, we're going to be joined by Tricia Calvarese. She is in Colorado, and she's running against Lauren Boebert. We'll talk to her about this and much, much more. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York-style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, there are millions of Americans that are going to be losing their food stamps tomorrow. It's absolutely insane. You have the Trump administration murdering people with no due process, no oversight at all. These are very strange times we're living in. And I talk a lot about some of these people in D.C., whether it be the Marjorie Taylor Greens, who's come around a little bit lately. It's kind of surprising. But, others like the Ron Johnsons and the Mike Johnsons and, there's and our vice president who are just completely either complicit or they just don't care. And I talk about Lauren Boebert on this show a lot as well, because I think she's just a reprehensible human being, just awful. She shouldn't be representing anybody. And, the Democrat that is trying to retire, for lack of a better term, Lauren Boebert, in Colorado's 4th Congressional District, joins me right now. Her name is Tricia Calvarese, and she's been on this program before. Tricia, it is great to see you. How are you?
Hey, excellent to see you. She ain't doing her job. It's time to fire her, man.
I think it's time to fire a lot of people, and absolutely Lauren Boebert is certainly one of them. I want to just get your thoughts on this. I mean, what do you make of the fact that people, obviously in your district and in Colorado, all over the country, are going to be losing not only their medical benefits soon enough, but food stamps tomorrow? I'm just wondering, from a human perspective, how you feel about what's going on right now during this government shutdown.
I'm heartbroken. It is just absolutely devastating. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're looking at the collapse of the American food system. People don't understand that. Colorado has lost more farms than any other state in the country. Okay, it's the second largest economic driver for Colorado, and our small farmers are getting crushed. Where do you think your food comes from? It's the people who grow it, the people who actually are doing the hard work. Lauren Boebert has been on vacation, taking our taxpayer-funded salary. And she has the best healthcare in the country, and she's not showing up. She's not talking to farmers. She's not talking about them about what's going to happen to our cattlemen and women when you flood our market with a bunch of beef from Argentina. Has its place, right? But when you upset markets like that, it hurts these people who have gone through lean times. They're getting crushed. And I'll tell you what, I was just out in rural Colorado last week. We went to Lamar. We went to a faith-based food bank. They are already seeing an uptick. This is before SNAP is going to be cut and is being weaponized. They serve some 1,600 people a month. Recently, in the last 2 weeks, they served 400. And then get this, there's a Safeway. That's one of the only food options beside Walmart in that area. The Safeway is closing. It's decided to up and leave, and they're pulling their $30,000 grant that they give to this food bank every year. It is a crisis. We are on the brink of a food crisis. I see no solutions from her. She hasn't held a single in-person town hall to deal with any of these issues. Meanwhile, I'm showing up on farms. I'm talking to our ranchers. I am working to try to find the solves here, because the food ain't optional, right? It's not optional. And I'm seeing no solutions from Lauren Boebert.
And Lauren Boebert was one of many Republicans that helped pass this tax cut that'll give $100 billion annually to the richest 1% in this country. I'm wondering how they have an argument for wasteful spending, as they would call it, even when it comes to healthcare or food benefits. And yet they've given the top one, or going to be giving the top 1%, $100 billion tax cut in the next year.
Oh my goodness, when our rural hospitals are in the red, they are already in the red. That's critical infrastructure. Those hospitals support the communities where our people are growing our food. And you know what? We're already seeing the impacts. An assisted living facility in Lyman, has closed. That is one of the only assisted living facilities for 150 miles on the I-70 corridor. This is unacceptable.
I completely agree with you. If you're just joining us, her name is Tricia Calvarese. She is running in Colorado's 4th Congressional District. Her opponent, Lauren Boebert. I've had some choice words for her over the years, that is for sure. Now, I have to say this. I disagree with Lauren Boebert on almost everything. Listen, I think she's despicable. However, I do want to get your thoughts on this, because I kind of do agree with her on this. She is one of the few, I believe, that Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few other Republicans have come forward, Nancy Mace, who I also think is a disgraceful person, but they believe that the Epstein files should be released. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And why do you think all of a sudden now Lauren Boebert and some of these other MAGA Republicans all of a sudden now are talking about getting these, even though they haven't been released, and I don't think they will? What do you make of that?
Okay, completely agree. Excellent. Release them. I haven't heard a word from her, though. Beyond the one that she signed the discharge petition, haven't heard a word. And where are the policies? I was the only candidate at Colorado's inaugural Digital Safety Summit, which was hosted by Exodus Road. A Republican actually invited me. We are facing a crisis that we need to get in front of it. 1 in 5 children online has been sexploited. That's where they end up sending explicit images because they're being blackmailed. And I had the honor of meeting Rep. Brandon Guffey. He's a South Carolina Republican state rep. Shared the story of how his son was exploited into sharing content and tragically took his own life. They passed Gavin's Law, making that a crime to extort minors online. I will work with any Republican. I will work with anybody to protect kids, to hold big tech accountable for a profit model that profits off of child exploitation. Where are Lauren Boebert's bills? Where is her legislation? I haven't seen anything. She came out, signed that discharge petition. Then you know what she started focusing on? Aliens, UFOs, if those are real. But meanwhile, I'm doing the actual work. I'm meeting with counterparts that I can work with on the other side. We have to move on this. These are real, like kids are being exploited. Like trafficking is a real issue. There is no mandatory sentencing for people who purchase sex from minors. Can you believe that? Like,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's get it done, guys.
Yeah, and you talk about priorities, not just with Lauren Boebert, but with MAGA Republicans in general. It was Caroline Leavitt at a press conference just the other day that said, quote, Donald Trump's top priority right now is the ballroom. You have people that are going to be losing their health care benefits in this big and awful bill. You have people tomorrow, millions that are not going to be getting the food benefits that they need to survive. And Caroline Leavitt said Donald Trump's, quote, top priority is the ballroom. I mean, what do you make of that?
Okay, look at who's funding this ballroom. It is that we don't have capitalism in America. This is corporatism. One of the biggest funders, JBS. There is a monopoly in meatpacking. You got 4 of them that process some 80 to 85% of all meat slaughter in the United States of America. In Colorado, we just have 2. And JBS is foreign owned. And now they're buying a ballroom. Where, meanwhile, our local producers are getting, that's a duopoly. That is price fixing. That's not where are our capitalists? Where are our free market folks, right? Who are supposed to stand up for the little guy. I don't see them anywhere. So you call me whatever the hell you want to call me. What am I for Halloween? I hope I'm not the ghost of the American middle class because it's dying and we need folks to step up and to actually fight for us.
And, I wanted to, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about what you talked about with Lauren Boebert being on vacation, right? Because the MAGA Republicans, Mike Johnson and others are blaming the Democrats for this. Yet, correct me if I'm wrong, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have been begging the Republicans to come back to work and sit at the table and try to negotiate. What has Lauren Boebert done?
Has not showed up for an in-person town hall. Has not shown her face in our district to take questions, to hear from people, to listen to the lived experience of what folks are going through. I would not be doing this if I had not been humbled by the death of my own parents. Okay, actually 2 years ago today, my mother died. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer at the beginning of October 2023. Got very little time with her. And at the same time, my dad was dying of kidney cancer. Our healthcare system is messed up. It doesn't work for anybody. And just to be able to do no work, go on vacation, have your healthcare for you and your family, I don't know how you could do that. I just don't. And you know what? And this is, I was raised Catholic. I've returned to the Catholic church that I was raised in. I actually met with my priest yesterday because I was like, I'm going to start talking about this social justice that our faith teaches us. And he said, rock and roll, sis, you go on. Because we got to get back to that. It's not Christian. To the least among us, right? What you do to the least of your brothers and sisters, you do to me.
Trisha, I want to talk to you about that faith and religion because I'm very confused. A lot of people, particularly on the far right, like the Mike Johnsons of the world, like the Lauren Boeberts of the world, they'll talk about their faith and their Christianity, yet they'll treat others terribly because of their sexuality, because of the color of their skin. The rich get richer, these big tax cuts for the top 1%. And it's regular, everyday, hardworking Americans and those that are struggling that need food stamps. They need their Medicaid. Isn't that the opposite? I'm not a very religious person. Help me out here.
Yes, that is the opposite. Exactly. That is the exact opposite. And where I had walked away from the Catholic Church because I thought it was going too political, but where it's thankfully, I think, coming back, and it's on folks like me as we're running for office, go back to your faith tradition, run on that, speak and live our values, right? If you're going to be for the lives of other people, then that means we're going to make sure there is a safety net. And I'm not going to pull it away from my neighbors. I'm going to fight for them to make sure they can take care of their families. Matthew 25 Catholic, what you do to the least of your brothers and sisters, you do unto me.
I wanted to ask you, and again, Trish Calvarese joining us. She's running against Lauren Boebert in Colorado's 4th Congressional District. If you were on a debate stage right now with Lauren Boebert, and again, I'd love to see that happen. I would imagine Lauren Boebert, that's the last thing that she wants to do, debate anybody, let alone you. But if you were on a debate stage with her right now, and we were talking about this government shutdown, and Lauren Boebert said, you guys are the reason, Democrats are the reasons why we're in this shutdown right now, what would you say to her?
Lauren Boebert, you have the job, dude. Like, you guys have the House, the Senate, and the executive office. What are you doing? Where are the results, man? While hardworking people are working with no pay, right? Are like, get out of here. Like, BS. Yeah. And, I have to give you a lot of credit. I love that. I saw that you did it like a debate with Tim Pool. We have like, that is so important. That is so important, showing up and debating each other. Boebert would not debate me on TV last year.
Well, she's a coward. She's a coward, just like many of these other MAGA Republicans out there. They don't want debate. And here's what I find. You tell me if you disagree with this or not. But I find when I challenge some of these Republicans, not Tim Pool, but when I challenge some of these Republicans, they see it as an attack, right? They see it as, oh, well, you're attacking my views. You're attacking me. Nancy Mace is probably the biggest snowflake on the planet. I don't know if you saw Stephen Miller's wife on Piers Morgan. I've done Piers Morgan plenty of times. That was a crazy moment where Stephen Miller's wife is being called a liar. It's a personal attack on her. And then she says somehow that was anti-Semitic, which, I mean, that was befuddling to me. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. It seems to me what Republicans seem to blame Democrats for, which is, being a snowflake and, cancel culture. The Republicans have been doing that constantly. That's what I see.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And, seeing Charlie Kirk get murdered like that was horrible. And and I, condemn people on our side for celebrating, like, absolute, that is so wrong. But in that spirit that Charlie Kirk did represent, of that you show up, you debate, you go into the public forum, I call on those MAGA Republicans, live those values. People can see your hypocrisy. Don't say that you're, for Charlie Kirk, but then you don't live those principles. So hopefully Lauren Boebert rights that wrong. And in the spirit that Charlie Kirk represents of open debate, come and debate me, Lauren. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think that Lauren Boebert could even spell the word principle. I don't know. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I have to ask you this about Lauren Boebert, since she's your opponent. I mean, there's so many things I could bring up in this conversation, but one thing that comes to mind for me is these Christmas photos that these Lauren Boebert types come up with, where they give their 5 and 6-year-olds weapons to hold in their hand, AR-15s, for Christmas photos. And I find that to be so repulsive. And I think you have to be some type of sick human being to be giving a 5-year-old a weapon to hold just for a photo, a family photo. Like, to me, it just goes to the mentality of how brainwashed she is. What do you make of that, of the Lauren Boebert types that are obsessed with their weapons and they use it in family photos?
I mean, we deserve better. We deserve better. The families I'm fighting for are family farmers, are family small business owners, the people who are now opening up their, seeing that their health insurance is skyrocketing, and how much that's going to hurt their business, their inability to support Colorado. I mean, that's the thing is, I so believe in the dignity of work. And Lauren Boebert's job should come with, it's so much responsibility. It's such a great weight. Like, you are the public servant for our district. And I don't know how that's not a driving principle for her. I just know it is for me. I know it is.
Now, I know, Tricia, you're really focused, laser focused on policy, and you're laser focused on, how do we keep people on these food stamps and get them the help that they need. But Lauren Boebert is your opponent. And there's another thing that I want to bring up, which I find so outrageous. And I know you've talked about this before, but we talk about human decency. And I think we need more of that, of people that are running for office like yourself and people that are in office. And I'm wondering how anybody could vote for a woman who pleasures a man, for lack of a better term, publicly at a play, smokes her vape, treats people like garbage. We all saw it on video. Lies about it until the video comes out and then owns it. And they want to protect children, yet she thinks it's okay at a Beetlejuice play, fondling a man's genitals, for lack of a better term. That's what she was doing.
And then was abusive to the workers who were they're just trying to do their job. that was so bad for her, right? After that Beetlejuice thing, she decided to ditch her district in Colorado 3 that she represented at the time, come over a mountain range, come to Colorado 4, be a carpetbagger where folks here are a little bit less familiar with her BS. So that's exactly what she did. And just to even kind of back up and give you a little bit of history here. So Republican Ken Buck had announced that he wasn't going to run again in 2024. Boebert, announces she's going to carpetbag. But then Ken Buck was like, I've had enough. I'm out. That was March 2024. So that created a 6-month vacancy, and we had a special election to fill it. I was the Democratic nominee. Greg Lopez was the Republican because Boebert couldn't run in that race without leaving Colorado 3. Hannah Goodman, the Libertarian, was also running. And I showed up at the Grizzly Rose. It's a dance hall saloon to debate. I went to every debate I was invited to, and connecting with that libertarian, debating with her, meeting with her, talking about her and her family's history of farming and everything, how connected she is to the land, carrying kind of Hannah's story in mind. I had the absolute honor of reading this week, Hannah, the chair of the Colorado Libertarian Party, has officially become a Democrat, and she credits me. This is the type of movement we need to actually win seats like this. We're not being dogmatic. We're being pragmatic. We're finding the answers, the solutions, and building real coalitions. Because, people are also sick and tired. I'm going to these farms, these ranches. People are like, I want somebody who will actually talk to people, who will actually show up, who will actually work towards solutions. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing every day. And it's a winning brand of Democrats, right? Like we're having that debate right now of who are we? What do we stand for? I'm an unapologetic economic populist. I'm running on that, and to be able to earn, that was organic that Hannah put that out there. So thanks, Hannah. We're gonna, we're going out. We're gonna visit her real soon. That's exactly what we need to win. Yep.
That's a big deal for you. That's a big endorsement, and I think that speaks to you and your character and what you represent. So congratulations on that endorsement. Obviously, I can't vote for you. I would in a heartbeat if I could. I live here in the state, the great state of Nevada. But I do want you to give out that information, how people can get more involved in your campaign, how people can donate. So give out that information so people can follow you. And I do have listeners in Colorado. I get callers from Colorado every single day. Some of them could possibly be your constituents one day. So give out that information, how people could learn a little bit more about you and donate to your campaign.
Thank you so much. So I don't take a cent of corporate PAC money. I am not bought. I don't have Elon Musk as a donor, which Lauren Boebert does. So I depend on all small dollar donors. Trisha for the number 4 Colorado.com. If you could pitch in anything you can would mean the world. Make it recurring would be great because it's a giant district. We're traveling all through it, would mean the world, and help amplify on social media as well. I'm not buying the internet. I'm doing it all organically. So please pitch in. We are grassroots, but rest assured, we're redefining the Democratic Party to work for rural, to work for the middle class, because there's so many independent voices, and I'm trying to represent all of us. So thank you so much, and let's go, man. Let's fire Boebert.
Yes, let's. I tend to agree with you on that one. Trisha, I love what you're doing. Keep up the great work. You got my support, and we'll have you on again soon. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trisha. There you go, everybody. Trisha Cavalrese, running in Colorado's 4th congressional district. Her opponent is the despicable Lauren Boebert. She's despicable in so many ways than one. I don't know how anybody could vote for a person like that. I just don't understand it. Not to mention that Trisha is a good family woman. She's a nice person. She has a good heart. You can see it. She cares about people. It's a no-brainer for me. So if you live out in that area, please support her. Check out her website. She's a wonderful person. The opposite, I would say, of who Lauren Boebert is and what she represents. So speaking of healthcare, as you know, I talk about healthcare on this show all the time. We were just talking about it. We talk about it every day. I told you guys that 20 million people are going to be losing their medical coverage with this big, awful bill. I am so happy to be teamed up with the people at Chapter. What they do is they give you free and unbiased Medicaid, Medicare help. Now, you see the number there on the bottom of your screen, which is 212-461-4078. But here's the best part. On average, they save people like $1,100 a year. But if they think you're on the right plan, you can keep your plan. They will tell you that. But if you want to save money without the headache, you want a free service, because that's exactly what Chapter is, give them a call. Give your number. They'll call you back if there's a wait. Obviously, there usually is a wait because it's such a great service. So many people are using it. So give Chapter a call, 212-461-4078. You also see the URL right there on the bottom of the page, which is askchapter.org/limits. For my listeners, free advice. They will tell you if you're on the right plan. And if they don't think you're on the right plan, they will give you other alternatives. Give them a call. Again, 212-461-4078. And I'm so glad to be teamed up with Chapter. All right, so here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to now set things up for you and why I'm going to be, well, we take calls on this show every day, right? Doesn't matter whether you're a Trump supporter or not, but there's a lot to discuss today. In less than 24 hours from now, people are going to be losing their SNAP benefits. Tomorrow is November 1st, and people are going to be losing their SNAP benefits, not because of Democrats, in my opinion, because of Republicans. There's a $5 billion slush fund that 2 judges have already ruled on totally. Not only can Donald Trump use those funds for SNAP benefits, but the judges are saying he should. But yet MAGA Republicans still want to blame Democrats for what is going on. So we're talking a little bit about that and more excuses. And that's what I've been talking about. These 2 judges that have made this ruling. So we're talking about that. We're talking about food benefits that are going to be taken off the table tomorrow. And we talked about already these 2 judges that have said not only can he use these emergency funds, but he should. But yet MAGA Republicans are still blaming Democrats and making up excuses. I mean, I played you Trump's Secretary of Agriculture, who oversees SNAP, who is a complete imbecile, Rollins, who's lying. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. MAGA callers are always welcome. Do you think are you okay with millions of Americans not being able to get their food benefits tomorrow? Are you okay with that? I'll tell you right now, I'm not. Number to call again if you want to be a part of the show is 702-221-7283. If in fact you would like to be a part of the program. All right, let's get right to those calls now at 702-221-7283. Why don't we start off with Ryan on line 2? Ryan is first up on PTL. What's up, Ryan?
Hello, Brian.
What's up?
Food stamps. The Americans that were on it were 41,697,500. So 22.3 million over 41,697,500. That's 53.480424485888%.
You're very accurate with your numbers, by the way. I must say that's very accurate. Yes. So listen. There are a lot to respond to what you just said. And by the way, I appreciate those statistics. In layman's terms, right? Millions of people that are going to be losing their food stamps tomorrow. Millions. The overwhelming majority of those people desperately need them. Listen, I always know there's going to be a small percentage of people that are going to take advantage of the system. That doesn't mean we should make everybody else suffer for it, and that's not an excuse that Republicans can use. Millions of Americans. So many of them are actually working. Many of them have to work 2, sometimes 3 jobs. When you're paying somebody $8 an hour, it's not enough to put food on the table. It's not even enough to pay your rent. And there are millions of Americans that rely on this assistance, not because they sit on their butt and they do nothing and they don't work, because they need it to survive. Same thing with Medicaid. I would say the exact same thing. And I'm wondering, if you're a Republican, how do you defend this? How do you defend this? Donald Trump has access to $5 billion right now that 2 judges have already said you can use this to help people to keep food on the table. How? So listen, this is a joke. And by the way, just so you are aware, defendants are required to use those contingency funds as necessary for the SNAP program. But Donald Trump and Republicans refuse to do it. What does that say about the Republican Party? I think I know. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Millie. Millie is next up on PTL. Hey, Millie, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I don't know
you know, because who knows what news to trust nowadays. But I just came across my phone that a federal judge just ruled on SNAP benefits and said that Trump needed to fully fund them.
Oh yeah, I've been talking about that since the beginning of the show. You're talking about the two federal judges that have ruled that the Trump administration must tap into billions of dollars in emergency funds. But listen, Trump is above the law, right? Trump has immunity. Trump can do whatever the hell he wants to.
He thinks he is, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the way the Supreme Court ruled.
I mean, that's the way it's been going so far, but
yeah. So we knew this, though.
I
remember I talked about this on the show yesterday before these two judges even made this decision. Remember, because I do some research and I looked into this. There's $5 billion sitting there in Washington, D.C. that should be used for emergency situations like this one. If Donald Trump wanted to release those funds, he could have done it by now. He's the first person that will send the National Guard into a bunch of cities with a bunch of brown people. He's the first person that will do that. But yet, when it comes to this,
I don't really feel like Donald Trump is running this country right now. I think it's like Steve Bannon, Steve Miller, and Stephen Vogt who are running this country, because Donald Trump is stumbling across stages in Japan. And
yeah, to an extent, I agree with you. I do think Stephen Miller is probably running most of the show. I don't know how much influence Steve Bannon has, but certainly Stephen Miller does. Certainly Pete Hegseth does. Certainly Kash Patel does. But the
entire cabinet is
the buck stops. I agree with you. The buck stops with Donald Trump, though. I don't think he cares. He cares more about what's gold plated in the restrooms in the White House than he actually does care about putting food on the table for the American people. He was never in this situation. He's never lived paycheck to paycheck. He never had to worry about where his next meal is going to come from. And that's why I want regular, ordinary, good people in these positions, not some moron who got $500 million from his father and has never worked a hard day in his life.
Absolutely. And one other thing that I want to say is that I tried to donate money, but it wouldn't go through. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's interesting. You mean on our website, it's not going through?
I was on YouTube.
Oh.
But I will try to figure that out. I don't have a lot of money to give, but I want to donate something.
That's so super sweet of you, and I really appreciate that. Here's the best thing you can do, and I was going to make this announcement anyway. If you go to my website, pushingthelimits.live, that's pushingthelimits.live, you'll see a little icon there that says donate, and it should only take about 5 minutes of your time. Okay?
Okay. Well, the other thing is that I don't know how many of your callers have been writing to their senators and representatives in their state, but it's very important that every state that has people on SNAP, which is all 52 states and territories, they need to write to their senators.
Absolutely.
And give them an earful, but don't just write to your senators and representatives, but also write to your attorney general.
Sure. I bet you it'll be a lot more effective than any letter that Chuck Schumer has written. I'll tell you that. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your support. Yes, check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations there. We appreciate anything you can afford. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Courtney. Courtney is next up on PTL. Hi, Courtney.
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Hey, good. What's on your mind today?
I think people are missing some of why he's also doing this. He's really looking for a way to instill martial law. I don't think they ever plan on bringing Congress back. I think they're trying to turn this into a dictatorship. If you starve people and you start having food riots, he can then instill martial law.
Well, I think to an extent I agree with you. I don't think Donald Trump is ever willing to listen to the Democrats or let alone abide by any vote. Donald Trump is literally a wannabe dictator. He's running an oligarchy. He looks up to evil dictators like the Kim Jong-uns of the world and the Vladimir Putins of the world, because I believe that's what Donald Trump is, and that's what he wants to be. He wants to be a dictator. He's a wannabe dictator. He's been doing this since day one.
Yes, and so I feel like, this was Bannon, Miller, and all of them looking for a way, and especially after they saw almost 20 million people, that they undercut how many people were at 2,700.
Correct.
And it was more than 20 million.
And for the clowns, sorry to interrupt you, my dear, for the clowns out there on social media that are saying Republicans already voted yes to open, for the morons who are making statements like that, let me just educate some of you ill-informed MAGA clowns, okay? Sure, they want everything to be open. Why? Because they want the big and beautiful bill to pass. What is in that big and beautiful bill? The biggest tax breaks for the top 1%, $100 billion. That's number one. Number two, food stamps, billions of dollars in money taken away from food stamps. The Democrats don't want that to happen. Taking away health care from 20 million plus Americans in that big and awful bill. That's why the Democrats want to make sure that what was in place before this bill is still in place. That's why. So you see, if Democrats just vote to reopen the government, people are still going to lose their health care coverage. People are still going to lose their food stamps. These MAGA people are very special. They don't seem to understand. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hello, Ray.
Hello?
Yes, Ray, go right ahead.
Hey, so I was listening to all this, and I was thinking about the shutdown and everything. I was in church the other week for a wedding, and got me thinking about the moral right thing to do, and the Democrats are holding hungry people hostage.
How so?
I mean,
How so?
Well, they're holding back the payments.
Whoa. They don't want to hold back the payments. What is in the big and beautiful bill? Do you know why they won't vote for this? Do you know why? Do you have any understanding why?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, tell me. Then don't laugh like Tucker Carlson. Let's have a serious conversation. Do you know what's in the big and beautiful bill, sir?
Yeah, they're trying not to give stuff to illegal.
No. First of all, it is illegal for somebody to get SNAP benefits that is an undocumented immigrant. We're not talking about ER. We're not talking about hospitals and people that are close to losing their lives. So I'm going to ask you the same question again because you got it wrong the first time. What is in the big and beautiful bill as far as food stamps and Medicaid? Do you know, sir?
They want to get money to people who need it.
Wrong. Okay, so I'm going to ask you now for a third time, and if you don't answer it, I will answer it for you because I'm guessing you don't know the answer. What are they doing to Medicaid and food stamps in the big and beautiful bill? Please answer the question, sir. This is now the third time.
Can you answer that? I will.
I will answer it. I will answer it because it sounds like you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So I will try to educate another MAGA, and maybe we can get somewhere, sir. Maybe we can. Billions of dollars taking away from food stamps. That means millions of people are going to lose their food stamps, okay? 20 million people, not undocumented immigrants, Americans, American citizens are going to lose their health care coverage. Major cuts, the biggest cuts to Medicaid and the biggest cuts to food stamps. The reason why the Democrats don't want to get to 60 votes is because they don't want to see that happen to ordinary, everyday, hardworking Americans. Now, what part of that I just said do you not understand?
Oh, I understand it. But
if you understand it, then you wouldn't have started the conversation, sir, by blaming the Democrats. So don't give me this nonsense that you understand it. If you understood it, you would be upset at Republicans. And by the way, now let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, sir. The $5 billion slush fund that I'm sure you were completely unaware of because you sound very ill-informed with respect, sir. $5 billion that right now Donald Trump could put towards those that are going to be losing their food stamps tomorrow. 2 judges ruled not only is he allowed to use the funds, but he should use the funds. 2 federal judges ruled. My question to you, sir, is he doesn't need one Democrat to okay this. Why hasn't he done it? Answer that question, please, sir. Since you want to blame Democrats, why hasn't Donald Trump released those funds? Go.
Well, we have to look at this from a moral perspective.
Okay, let's look at it from a moral perspective. Donald Trump has the opportunity right now at the tap of a finger to allocate $5 billion in emergency funds to help those that might not be getting their food benefits tomorrow. So answer my question. Why isn't he doing it?
You have to make sure the due diligence is taken.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? He has to make sure.
We can't.
So why can't he do his due diligence, but make sure nobody loses their food stamps and allocate this money right now so that people aren't stressed and aren't suffering? Tell me why. Yeah, go ahead.
Because the taxpayer has the morality of the taxpayer.
Oh, you want to talk about taxes? Okay, let's talk about morals since you want to talk about taxes. Are you okay with the biggest tax cuts for the top 1% in American history? Tax cuts, $100 billion annually to the richest people in this country. Since you want to talk about morals, sir, are you okay with that? $100 billion a year to the biggest, richest people, the top 1%. Are you okay with that, but taking away food stamps since you want to talk about morals? What would you rather see, sir? cutting Medicaid coverage and cutting food benefits, or giving $100 billion a year in tax cuts to the top 1%? What is more moral, since you wanted to use that word, sir? Go ahead.
Well, there's no link between taxation and morality.
Actually, there is, and you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So since there's no equation, and you didn't want to answer my question between taxes and morality, by your standards, do you think somebody that makes $1 billion a year should pay less in taxes than somebody making minimum wage, and that has nothing to do with morals? What the hell are you talking about?
So I was at a wedding.
I don't care. I don't care about what wedding you went to. That is irrelevant to this conversation. I'm going to ask you one more time and answer my question, or the conversation is over. You're the one who brought up morals, okay? What do you think is more morally sound in this country? Let's go with religion. Are you a religious person, sir? Do you believe in Jesus?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. You believe in Jesus. That's all I needed to hear. Good. What do you think Jesus would rather say? Give $100 billion a year in tax cuts to the top 1% richest people in this country, or allocate that money to help people that are struggling, that are on food stamps? What would Jesus say, sir, since you call yourself a man who believes in Jesus? What do you think Jesus would say to that?
Well, there was no income tax at the time he was around.
Okay, I'm not asking you if there was an income tax. I'm asking you from a moral perspective. What do you think Jesus would say? You haven't answered any of my questions. You keep dodging them. Answer this one or the conversation is over. Because quite frankly, sir, you haven't said one intelligent thing in this entire phone call. What do you think Jesus would say? Give the biggest tax breaks to the top 1% and upwards of $100 billion a year, or millions of Americans losing their medical coverage that are struggling, and millions of Americans losing their food stamps that are poor and that are struggling? What do you think Jesus would do?
Jew or Jesus, the church.
All right, you're not a serious person. Get the hell off my show. You're an absolute buffoon, and you're not serious. I'm willing to have a serious conversation with people that are willing to have one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. If you would like to be a part of the conversation, you could be a MAGA supporter, but hopefully you'll be a little bit more intelligent and be willing to have a serious conversation, unlike the last idiot that just called into this show. All right, let's go to Thomas. Thomas is next on PTL. Hello, Thomas.
Hey, I'm willing to have a great conversation if you don't hang up on me this time. I called in Wednesday.
If you're respectful and you answer my questions, then I'll gladly
Absolutely,
I appreciate that. I will gladly have a conversation with you. Go ahead, Thomas. What did you want to talk about?
Yeah, so you called me a fraud, but didn't let me explain because you hung up on me. And
okay, I'm not interested in your grievances of a call you made earlier in the week. We're going to stay on topic, and if you'd like to talk about,
but I'm disappointed in you.
Okay, I don't care if you're disappointed in me, and I don't care what your opinions are about me about Cenk. We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about food stamps, and it's not a free for all where any MAGA could just call into this show and bring up anything they want to bring.
MAGA, by the way.
Okay,
so I
don't care what you are. Quite frankly, we're not talking about. We're not off topic. We're not off topic. If you want to remain on topic, Thomas,
not Katie Miller.
Thomas. If you'd like to be on topic, I'm happy to have a respectful conversation with you.
Because of what you did on Wednesday.
Thomas,
so now I want to call in
let's
today.
try this one more time, Thomas, okay? I'm happy to have a respectful conversation with you. Now, I understand you might call into right-wing podcasts or, shows that don't have any listeners, and it's a free-for-all, and they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. Is there anything that I've talked about on the show today, Thomas? And again, I'm happy to have a respectful conversation with you.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
you
thank you.
actually are
Let's
giving
do that.
credit to Marge Green and Lauren Boebert, aren't you? It's exactly what you criticized Cenk for doing with Trump. How dare you? You are a disguised MAGA, sir.
Okay, so tell me what you're talking about. I don't know why you would say I'm a disguised MAGA. Once in a while, I think,
sir,
once in a while, sir, I'm trying, sir, I'm trying to explain something to you. Just because once in a while I might agree with somebody on the right doesn't mean
it's okay when you do it,
sir. I've agreed with some things very few things, but some things that Donald Trump has done, I agree with. It doesn't mean I'm MAGA just because once in a while I agree with somebody. Do you see?
Right.
Is that
Wow,
hard for you?
it's crazy how
Is
that
that
logic,
hard? Is that
fits
hard
when
for you to
do
follow,
it.
Thomas? Is that hard for you to follow? Does that
No,
make sense
it's
or
not.
no?
I actually get it 100%,
Oh,
but
good.
it's hard for you to follow when it comes to Cenk Uygur.
There you go again, going off topic again. Sir, you're very exhausting.
Yeah, it's off
You're
topic. We don't
very
want to talk
exhausting.
about it.
What is it about Cenk that you felt the need to call back
Because
into the show?
You talked crap about him like almost a year ago, and you said he's pathetic for.
I don't
sitting
agree
next
with
to that
Cenk.
white
Yeah, I don't agree with
supremacist
Cenk.
Charlie Kirk.
Sure, I don't agree with Cenk most
Yet
of the time.
it's okay for you to sit right next to Tim Pool, the known Russian asset.
Sure. So I will gladly respond to that. First of all, I did not criticize Cenk for getting into a debate with Tim Pool. On multiple occasions, I've are you going to let me finish my statement? Shut up.
Yes.
You don't
All right,
interrupt
I'm
me.
listening.
You don't interrupt me. Thank you. It's my show, not yours.
I got
okay?
you. I got you.
Thank you. You said you wanted respect, so show me the same. So you said that I've criticized Cenk for talking to Tim Pool. Is that what you just said?
No, talking to Charlie Kirk.
You said I've criticized. Okay, not true. I've never criticized Cenk.
You did, yes.
No, never have. Listen, I'm not going
to. Pathetic because he sat next to Charlie Kirk because Charlie
No,
Kirk's a white
wrong.
supremacist.
Here's what I criticized him for. Are you ready? People like you, it's very difficult sometimes for you to follow. I don't attack anybody for having a debate with somebody. What I do is say they're not tough enough on them. I thought that Cenk was not tough enough on Charlie Kirk. I said the same about. Hold on. No. I need you to listen. I need you to listen. I need you to listen. I'm still not done with my answer. You're interrupting me again.
Why is it okay?
You I need you to be quiet, and then I will let you talk after. If you want a respectful conversation, you do not interrupt me. You made a claim that was not true. I never criticized Cenk for having or sitting next to Charlie Kirk. You know why? I was supposed to be sitting next to Charlie Kirk in December in Phoenix. I've never criticized anybody. In fact, I've said the opposite, that people should go into the lion's den and debate. That was never my criticism of Cenk, and there's nobody that listens to this show that would agree with you. You're just making stuff up. What I did criticize Cenk for, which you seem to struggle to understand, so I'll try to explain it to you again, is that I thought Cenk was too easy on him. There is a big difference between criticizing somebody for having a debate and criticizing somebody for not being too tough. I did the same thing with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom was too nice with Charlie Kirk. I didn't criticize, and by the way, I said this on the show 100 times. I didn't criticize Gavin Newsom for having a debate with Charlie Kirk. I thought it was great that he was willing to do that. I criticized him for being too nice and not fighting for what he believes in. Now, I'm glad I was able to clear that up for you. Would you like to give me anything else or another example? Because you were wrong on that one as well.
Why is it okay for you to call Cenk an anti-Semite right after our phone call, but you pretend to be mad
when did I call
Stephen
Cenk?
Miller does it?
When did I call Cenk an anti-Semite? I did that yesterday.
Right after you hung
not
up
true.
on me, you
Not
said
true. Not true.
Cenk is an anti-Semite.
Never said that. You're a liar. Never
really
said that.
wanna
You're a
go look at
liar.
the clip you
Yeah.
gave me
I
called
think you should.
MAGA?
I think you.
Go ahead and watch it again.
Okay, so everything you've said now is totally misrepresenting and lying about things I've said. I've never called Cenk an anti-Semite. In fact,
You literally did.
Are you going to be quiet
literally.
because you don't listen and you make things up? I own this on the show. About a year ago, I called Mehdi Hassan an anti-Semite. And in the last 6 months, I said, you know what? I was wrong. I don't think Mehdi Hassan is an anti-Semite. And I actually think he's right on a lot of things that he says about Israel. Not only are you conflating the two, I never said Cenk was an anti-Semite. I think he's very anti-Israel, but I never said that Cenk is an anti-Semite. And I was wrong about Mehdi Hassan. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about. I'd love to have a conversation with you of substance, but when you
look at
all right, sir, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're wasting my time. I don't mind having conversations with people that I disagree with, but when you have somebody that calls into this show that literally has absolutely no idea what he's talking about, he makes things up about you. I never have said that Cenk is an anti-Semite. I said he's very anti-Israel. He might say things at times that some people might construe as anti-Semitic. I don't think Cenk is anti-Semitic. In fact, I texted him yesterday. I said, congratulations on what you did to Katie. I thought he did a great job. I texted him yesterday. I don't have great relationships with people that I think are anti-Semitic. So it's just a completely ridiculous statement. You're literally wrong on every single one of your opinions that you brought to this show. But thank you for proving once again what a buffoon you are. I appreciate that. 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, whether you're MAGA or not, the number to call is 702-221-7283. 7283. Let's go to Rob. Rob is next on PTL. Hello, Rob.
Yeah, Brian, I'll stay on topic. We're talking about food stamps.
Yes, sir.
Well, not only food stamps, but the shutdown in general. I think at the end of the day, the Republicans are going to, the public will blame the Republicans for it. Seems like every time there's a shutdown, the Republicans always get blamed for it, and they deserve it.
Well,
too.
Rob, guess what? There are actual facts that back up your opinion, at least when it comes to some of the latest polls that were out the last couple of days. More Americans blame the Republicans and Democrats right now. So imagine what they're going to say in 2 weeks from now. So I think you're right. I agree with you.
And, and keeping in line with the food concept, the soybean farmers, the American soybean farmers, I think that they lost their Chinese market forever, probably. Instead of buying their soybeans from us, the Chinese are going to buy them from Brazil, Argentina, and others. And what I wanted to ask you, what's going to happen to all those soybeans that the American farmers have? Are they just going to rot, or what's going to become of those soybeans?
Well, that's a good question that you ask. And don't you find it interesting that so many of these farmers that are struggling are the same people, some of them, that have voted for Donald Trump? Why can't they get in front of a camera and say, my business is shattered because of Donald Trump's policies? Geez, I wish I didn't vote for him. At least I would have some empathy for them if they said that, right? But they still want to blame George Soros and Barack Obama and Joe Biden. I mean, how do you feel bad for people like that? It's insane.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for those farmers that voted for Trump. They got what they voted for.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. At the same point, like, I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I want to see everybody flourish. I don't want to see these people lose their health care coverage and lose their food stamps. But I also understand where you're coming from. It's very difficult to feel for people that still support Donald Trump that are struggling and losing their businesses. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Hey, and one other thing for you before we go.
Yes, sir.
I want just not really a food related, but the Epstein files. A lot of people of mine, or a lot of people I know, have told me that why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? Why are you all complaining for Trump to do it? And I don't know what to tell them.
Here's what you say. Here's what you say. Yep. Here's what you say to that. Here's my exact response to that, because I've asked that before. Number one, Ghislaine Maxwell was in a trial at that time for part of Joe Biden's administration, and they were sealed. Number two, and I think this is extremely important as well, Joe Biden did not campaign on the fact that he was going to release the Epstein files. Joe Biden's supporters and Democrats weren't talking about it every day. Joe Biden didn't campaign on that. Donald Trump and his supporters, every single day, Donald Trump, we're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to hold people accountable. His supporters were talking about it every single day. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, and by the way, I don't think this is true, but let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that Joe Biden did not want to release the files because some of his friends were in there. That would be wrong. But that is not an excuse for Donald Trump, who campaigned on it, not releasing the files. So I can play that game with these MAGA buffoons all day long. The fact of the matter is that the reason why Donald Trump does not want us to talk about it is because he's hiding something. We all know that.
I've heard some of the MAGA buffoons that I know. They keep saying that, well, Biden had access to the Epstein files. What I want to know is, did he or did he not?
Yeah. Well, here's what we do know for sure, my friend. Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for over 10 years. We have Jeffrey Epstein on tape saying that. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell sent to a Club Med facility where she's allowed visitors? She gets preferential treatment. She basically gets room service and food delivered to her cell. She gets to play tennis. She gets to enjoy her life on taxpayer dollar. Why is it that Donald Trump's administration have treated her this way? I think we probably all know the answer to that, don't we? Thank you for the call, my friend. 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Scott. Scott is next on PTL. Hi, Scott.
Hey, happy holiday. I got three things real quick. Okay. One is I want someone to explain why this God people talks about leaves trash like Trump and et al. On Earth while he takes good people. Two is if Democratic policies were just to get people to vote, then pretty much every state should be blue, because I'm not sure if every red state expanded Obamacare, but I think when it was put to the voters, they did expand it. And 3 is I want to explain to MAGA what contingency means. Contingency means when you lived with your inbred parents, what were you going to do after they passed away? What was your backup plan, your contingency? Was it to move in with your inbred sister, your inbred aunt, your inbred uncle? That's what contingency means. Like, what's your backup plan? So what was the backup plan if food stamps ever ran out of money? What would be the contingency? So,
well, I can tell you this.
Go.
I can tell you this, my friend. In D.C. right now, Donald Trump has access to billions of dollars in emergency funds to be used. 2 federal judges have ruled that the Trump administration not only can use these funds, but must use them. Donald Trump knew about this. Members of his administration knew about this. Of course they did. They haven't released the funds. Why? Because they don't care. Because they don't have empathy. There are millions of people in this country that are going to lose their food stamps tomorrow. Donald Trump and many in his administration don't care. The Republicans that are in office right now with an R next to their name that do and say whatever Donald Trump tells them to do not care. Why? Well, because they're selfish, right? They're bad people. They have health care benefits, some of the best in the country. They're able to provide food for their family because they make good salaries. The reason why Donald Trump hasn't released these funds already, and maybe I hope he does, but I don't think he will, unless he's waiting till the last second to do so, is because he cares more about a ballroom. He cares more about gold-plated bathrooms in the White House and marble than he does about people that are suffering right now, living paycheck to paycheck. The actions speak louder than words, ladies and gentlemen. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, Trump supporter or not, I'm happy to have a debate with you right now live on the air. Let's go to Jacoby. Jacoby is next up on PTL. Hey, Jacoby. Hi, Jacoby. Go right ahead.
All right. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I'm not a long time fan of the show, but I've watched the show for some time.
Thank you.
And I love your content. I love what you bring to the table. I think that it's pretty sad that a lot of young people aren't interested in politics and that they don't care. I'm from Nebraska, which is obviously a big-time Trump state. So my question to you is, what do you think you tell someone who obviously doesn't care about politics that they care about politics?
Well, I would ask them, do they care about their family? Obviously, they would say yes, unless you ask that question to Donald Trump in private. But in all seriousness, do you care about your family? Do you care about your 401k? Do you care about healthcare? They would say yes. And then I would say, okay, you don't have to be involved in politics to know what Donald Trump is doing. They're taking healthcare away from over 20 million Americans. They're taking millions of people off of food stamps, billions of dollars. I would tell them, you don't have to care about politics, but you said you care about your family. Then why wouldn't you care about policies that would help your family flourish? And why wouldn't you care about policies that can hurt you and your family? That's where I would start with them.
And then another question. So tonight, actually, I'm going out for Halloween.
Yep.
And I'm going to go on the streets and I'm going to interview college kids to see what they think is going on in the world and if it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask them about Israel. I know your stance is on Israel.
Yep.
But you know, with that being said, do you think that a lot of people just don't care about what's going on over there, or they don't know? Because I've had plenty of arguments.
Yeah.
I've tried to educate people, and you'll hear the Trump supporters say, "Oh well, you know, what does being informed do?" And that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard. So
Yeah.
how do you make someone care about innocent children, civilians being slaughtered by?
Yeah. Well, I would ask them. I think you said it yourself. I would ask them, do you care about innocent children losing their lives, whether it be in America or overseas? Do you care? And Obviously, if they say yes, if they say no, then there's really no point in having a conversation with somebody like that.
Right.
But I would imagine many of them would say yes. So that's a good starting point. Okay, you care about innocent people losing their lives. Are you okay with what's happening in Gaza? Are you okay with what's happening in Israel? And they would probably say, well, what's happening? And then you would have to educate them on that. An innocent child losing his life, a Palestinian child losing his life in Gaza is just as horrible as an innocent child losing his or her life in Israel. I've been very consistent on that. About a year ago,
yeah, I know.
About a year ago, I changed, maybe even 8 months ago, I changed my position a little bit on Benjamin Netanyahu. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. But as time has gone on, I've realized that Mehdi Hassan was correct and I was wrong in that.
Yeah, he's a monster.
He is. And by the way, I'm close with a lot of Israeli people, and I can tell you that there are a lot of Israeli people that I know personally that are not Benjamin Netanyahu fans. They don't like him. They want him out. So he has not done a good job for his people. And here's something that I don't hear a lot. How the hell does that happen on October 7th? I thought he was supposed to be how does it even happen? I mean, it's a serious thing. Like, I thought they had some of the best security in the world. How does that happen? How do you let a bunch of terrorists do what they did? I think that's a very fair question to ask, and kidnap innocent people. Listen, I think it's great that 20 people or so that are innocent Israelis that were hostages were taken back home. I think that's awesome. I think that's a great story. But if Donald Trump just spoke about that, even if he bragged about that, I wouldn't really care. But Donald Trump lied to all of us, and he said the war was over, and he said there's peace in the Middle East. It couldn't be further from the truth. You could say there's more violence right now than there was on day one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's really sad. It's really sad, and I hate what's going on in the Middle East, just like I hate what's going on in Ukraine. I hate all these world leaders that are playing Donald Trump like a fiddle. We see it every single day. They'll give him a crown. He'll roll out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. What have we gotten there? What sanctions have we been? Idiots will say, "Oh, he's the toughest president we've ever had on Russia." Are you kidding me? Can you imagine if Joe Biden rolled out the red carpet on American soil for Vladimir Putin? Could you imagine if Joe Biden gave Qatar a military base right here in the United States of America? Do you remember, sir, the balloon, the Chinese balloon that was overhead?
Yeah, the one that we used the one time the F-22 Raptor saw combat. Yeah.
Do you remember what MAGA Republicans were saying about Joe Biden? They saying that Joe Biden was going to start World War III because of a Chinese balloon. Do you remember that?
The Chinese weather balloon, yeah. Oh
they were saying that Joe Biden was going to start World War III, but yet a Qatar military base on our own soil is totally okay. Throwing out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, totally okay. Getting played, totally okay by almost every single world leader. But because there was a Chinese air balloon out there for 24 hours that Joe Biden didn't immediately take down, that's going to start World War III. These MAGA Republicans are all not serious people. They're morons. I don't know what else to say. These are not serious people. They are so caught up and ill-informed in their Newsmax and their OAN and their Fox News. You can't have a legitimate conversation with them. They're not capable.
And you just that guy before, maybe 4 guys ago, that was going on about whatever nonsense he was talking about wasn't really bringing anything productive. I'm okay with speaking to a Trump supporter when they actually want to have a conversation, but when they say illegitimate things, you can't take these people serious. They're okay with a piece of the White House being absolutely demolished, which is that's another.
Well, that's another.
Well, it's just a pool.
That's another thing that I want to discuss because I haven't talked a lot about this ballroom that Caroline Leavitt the other day said was Donald Trump's top priority. Not like there's anything else going on in the world, but people don't seem to understand this. Just because donors put up the money, just because donors paid for this, doesn't mean that Donald Trump is going to make money off it. Let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. Okay, when this ballroom is finished, Donald Trump is going to lease it out. He's going to be the landlord. Okay. He's going to lease it out. He's going to make money under the table for doing so. And for all the MAGA buffoons out there that say Barack Obama did the same thing, Roosevelt did the same thing. No, they didn't. They preserved the history of the White House, and they had some maintenance issues and refurbished.
Didn't Obama just paint the tennis court?
It was like $1,000. He had it's so unbelievable. Barack Obama builds a basketball court. It's like $1,000, right?
But yet they're comparing that to this a $250 million ball. I don't even remember how much money it is.
Yeah.
I think it's more than that.
The East Wing is just
yeah.
gone.
I mean, what are they going to do?
Gone.
Plate it with gold? Like, what are they going to do? It's so ridiculous, these people. And Roosevelt did it for maintenance purposes, not because they wanted to build a ballroom that nobody needed. And Donald Trump is going to make money off it. Listen, people need to understand this. Every single thing that Donald Trump does, for the most part, is to fill his own pockets and to help him or his very close billionaire friends. He doesn't do anything for the American people. He does it all for himself, whether it's selling Trump Bibles, whether it's selling Trump trading cards, whether it's selling little patches of the suit he was wearing when he was indicted. Every single thing Donald Trump does is to fill his own pockets. This crypto scandal where his family has made already this year just under $1 billion. But MAGA Republicans want to talk about a $5,000 painting that Hunter Biden sold, who, by the way, never worked in the Joe Biden administration. But yet Donald Trump could make almost $1 billion for he and his family, and all these foreign adversaries can put money into this thing, and there's no corruption there. There's nothing to see. But let's talk about Hunter Biden's laptop and his paintings. It's so absurd.
Brian, real quick, I'm sorry. To go back on the Israeli thing, the argument that I get the most when I talk about the evils and the atrocities that they've committed is if I say that I don't like the state of Israel. That doesn't mean that I hate Jewish. I get called an anti-Semite or that I'm being anti-Semitic, and I think that's absurd.
Well, look at what Stephen Miller's wife Katie did with Chank on the Piers Morgan show a few days ago. It's so absurd. First of all,
you can't take them seriously.
No, of course you can't. But let's be very clear on this. Just because you're critical of the Israeli government does not mean you're anti-Semitic. I'm critical of the Israeli government. That is a joke. That's number one. Number two,
I think any human who appreciates human life should be critical of the Israeli government and their handling of. I'm trying to interrupt you, but I think that the Israeli government is the dog. It's basically a big dog that we unleashed. That we don't control them anymore. They don't listen to us. They break our rules. They steal our stuff.
It is totally okay to criticize the Israeli government. And listen, I understand across the country and some of these protests on these college universities, I'm sure there was a small percentage of people that were anti-Semitic, but I would like to think that a large portion of these people that held up signs saying that they're pro-Palestine, they were trying to show their concern for innocent Palestinians that were also losing their life. I've spoken to some of these people. It doesn't mean they're anti-Semitic and they condone Hamas. So I think there's a distinction. There's always going to be hateful, bad people in the world. There's always going to be hateful, bad people that have differences of opinions. But the bottom line is Donald Trump has not done anything. I'm glad he brought 20 hostages home. Joe Biden brought 125 hostages home during his tenure, and Donald Trump tried to take credit for that as well. Thank you for the call, my friend. I got to move on to the next call.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your phone call. So for those of you out there that are Trump supporters, anybody out there that wants to have a debate with me live on the air, you're welcome to do so. It hasn't gone very well for the few Trumpers that have called into the show thus far. That's usually the way it comes, breaks it down. But the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Again, that number is 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283 if you want to be a part of a live political talk show all over the world. Before we take our next caller, I want to thank my sponsors at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. They have a great contest out there called the Pass the Puck contest, where you can win up to $500 in free slot play during Vegas Golden Knights games. They also have some great promos, or once a week you could get $50 in free slot play if you earn enough points, and they have great food specials. It is so awesome. A free bottle of wine. There's so much you can get there, and it's worth worth the money. Trust me on that. 702-221-7283. So check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, and tell them that I sent you. They got some unbelievably good food there, and I guarantee I'll check it out this weekend. Albert on the YouTube super chat says, make a shirt that says pod him down. I probably should do that, and I'll have to be pointing like that. Pod him down. You know what? I'm going to talk to my people about that. Yes, I have people. I'm going to talk to my people on that, and maybe we can get a shirt that says pod him down. If you go on my website right now, you'll see we sell some other shirts on there. Lori, thank you for your donation. Says, so Johnson's a lawyer. Is he talking about himself? Johnson, do your job. Bring back the House and work for the American people who are suffering. Oh, Mike Johnson won't do that because he cares more about not upsetting his base of supporters and Republicans and Donald Trump than he does saying the right things and, saying the types of things that are truthful, because there's nothing about Mike Johnson that's truthful. Mary or Marie, it's one or the other, right? Mary or Marie. We're going to go with Marie on this one. Says, I'm wondering, do you have any solutions yourself, like a socioeconomic system you would want for the future? Well, it's a very good question you ask. It's a very complex question. Here's why we'll start. Everybody should be paying the same amount on taxes. Now, in a perfect world, I would have the billionaires paying a higher percentage. But the fact of the matter is that if you have a Jeff Bezos type that is paying a lower percentage on taxes than somebody making $40,000 a year, something is very wrong. I would also say that I'm not really for taking taxes out of paychecks. I would rather there be a blank tax on everything, soda, food, everything else. I've always been for that. And I think minimum wage across the country at a minimum needs to be $10. I don't care where you work. It's not going to ruin your business. And if you have a small business and you can't afford to pay your employee $10 an hour, then maybe you're not a very good business person and you shouldn't be. And that's my personal opinion. Nobody should be making less than $10 an hour. And I don't care if you're working at McDonald's, working at a steel mill. I don't care. $10 an hour should be the minimum. Full-time $10 an hour, you're making somewhere around $20,000 a year. And I think most people would argue it's probably not enough money to make a living. But that should be a minimum. Let's start there. Alexa on the YouTube super chat says, you think you can afford to eat? If this bill passes, you will not be able to afford your medical insurance and costs. So do you starve? I think there's a lot of people out there, Alexa, that will, and I wish that wasn't the truth, and I feel for all of you, and I don't want that to happen. That's why Democrats are fighting for you right now. Don't let Republicans lie when they say the Democrats are keeping us shut down. Well, yeah, because if you opened right now, in the near future, 20 million Americans would lose their health care coverage, and millions of Americans would lose their food benefits. Number to call again if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-SAVE, and again, that number, 702-221-7283. Trump supporter or not, if you want to call into the show. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hi, Terry. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. Happy Friday and happy Halloween. First thing is, I wonder if Trump charged a tariff on the candy that he and Melania were giving out at the trick-or-treat event in the White House yesterday. Probably did.
I did. I thought Donald Trump wasn't allowed, I thought Donald Trump wasn't allowed within 100 feet of a child. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, I spent part of my week shopping for food for our local food banks to help my brothers and sisters in my community.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of marginalized families where I live. What just absolutely confounds me is that, this is the richest country in the world, and we can't pay our federal employees while they're furloughed. And they're going to take food out of the mouths of our children. But Trump can build a $300 million ballroom, and I think that they're gonna actually have a lot to answer for when all this is over.
Well, I don't know when it's all going to be over. That's the problem, Terry. And when it is over, I think it's going to take decades for us to get back to where we were. The damage that Donald Trump and his administration are doing to this country, I don't think people realize how serious it is. And I would also say to everybody out there that did not vote last go around, and there's a lot of you out there, you better vote for the 2026 midterms. There are no excuses anymore as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. And have a great weekend, Brian.
Thank you. Happy Halloween. You have a great weekend as well. All right. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Sean. Sean is next up on PTL. Hey, Sean, what's going on?
Hey, Mr. Shapiro. I was just calling in. I'm a big fan. I love your show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to go on to rant for a second. This misinformation machine just drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 23 years old. I'm a straight white dude. I have a mullet. All my friends are MAGA. And I try to have simple conversations with them to explain to them that they are being lied to and that Fox, quote, news, aka Fox Entertainment, is not a reliable source for news. And I've been told a million reasons why I'm wrong, this and that, whatever. It just truly drives me insane that we are in the day and age of amazing technology. Everyone has a phone, and they can't take 5 minutes to do some research and find out that this orange felon is lying to them. And it just drives me insane. And people like you and shows like yourself, it helps me keep the faith in this country and keep hope that we are not completely doomed. So I just wanted to call in and say thank you. And to everyone out there listening, just fact check everything, please, for the love of God.
Well, that's
Thank
the problem. Thank you for those kind words, by the way. So many of these MAGA Republicans out there say they do their own research. They do their own research by listening to Jesse Waters. They do their own research by listening to Alex Jones. They do their own research by listening to Matt Gaetz and OAN and Newsmax. That's not doing your own research. That's making you a dummy. That's what it is. You're a dummy. If you're a source of news or any of those entities, you're a dummy and you're brainwashed, okay? They want to call CNN fake news and MSNBC fake news, yet Fox News are the group of people that were sued and lost $900 billion. They want to talk about a $15 million lawsuit that George Stephanopoulos and his organization had to pay off to Donald Trump. What about the $900 million lawsuit that Fox News had to pay off because they lied about the 2020 election, saying that Dominion voting machines were responsible? 702-221-SAVE. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dennis. Dennis is next up on PTL. Hello, Dennis.
Hey, how do you do today, Brian?
Hey, what's up, Dennis? What's on your mind?
I've done a couple of things. You know how the Republicans say all the people on SNAP are lazy and they don't want to work and all that?
Right.
Well, you just had the lady on from Colorado that said all the Republicans that are supposed to be home working with their constituents are doing nothing.
That's true. They've been on vacation.
Laura Bartlett.
How many days have they been in session? Mike Johnson, how many days? Geez, I wonder why. I wonder why. I bet you it has something to do with the Epstein files. I could be wrong on that one. It's insane. It's insane.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, how can they call people out that they don't even know and they're doing the same thing? Of course, we know it's because they're Republicans.
They don't care. They don't. And I know that it's easy for people to just throw that stuff around. But here's the thing. If Donald Trump cared, regardless of what you think about Republicans or Democrats, he would have released these $5 billion that desperately needed an emergency funds to keep people on food stamps. He hasn't done that because they don't care. They would rather give $100 billion in tax cuts to the top 1% because they don't care. They only care about their own rich white people. That's all they care about.
And, you know, their medical and dental and optical is all free for them and their families.
Yeah.
They got the best health care and they don't pay a penny for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you think about what Republicans are focused on today, Caroline Leavitt said it best. It's one of the few times that she told the truth. It's one of the few times that Trump told the truth. Right now, his top priority is the ballroom. His top priority isn't helping, brave men and women in uniform. His top priority certainly isn't ending this government shutdown. He doesn't care if people don't get paid. His top priority is not food stamps and making sure people get food on the table for their families, people that are struggling, or people losing their medical benefits. He doesn't care. He cares about gold-plated toilets in the White House. He doesn't care about everyday hardworking Americans, because if he did, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now. It's so obvious, and yet these MAGA morons out there, the excuses that they make for this guy, every single day I have to deal with it. It's a bunch of nonsense is what it is.
I just can't believe that they're as ignorant as they are.
Well,
for lack of
it's the one
better term.
Well, sir, I'll tell you this. It's the one of many few things that I give Donald Trump credit for. He exposed how stupid people are in this country. There's a lot of very ill-informed and uneducated people in this country. And I'm not sure who put out this tweet. I'm not sure what Amy Klobuchar. Okay, there we go. So Amy Klobuchar, who you know ran for president. This is Amy Klobuchar's statement. If we could go down to her. Yeah, there you go. Amy Klobuchar just tweeted this out, and this is what I've been echoing on this show for the last 2 hours. Amy Klobuchar, in regards to the food assistance and the funds, she says Trump has no excuse to withhold food assistance. If the administration does not issue SNAP, it is purely a cruel political decision, not a legal one. I completely agree with Klobuchar and what she just said there, and she's 150% correct. And if you're just joining us, the breaking news today, of course, 2 federal judges ruled that the Trump administration must now be tapping into billions of dollars. The word is must, right? These are emergency funds that are used for these situations, and Donald Trump refuses to do it. Number to call is 702-221-SAVE. If you want to get in, now's the time to do it because we're almost at the end of the program. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Brian. Brian is next up on PTL. Hey, Brian, what's up?
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Hi. No, I just want to say thank you for all that you guys do. I'm a truck driver, and I drive miles, big miles per week, and I just stumbled across your radio, your show here, and it's pretty refreshing to get a viewpoint from. And I hate to use the word left because I mean, as a Democrat, I always thought myself as more of a.
You could use that term, but I would say reasonable.
I don't like left. I don't. It's like
yeah,
almost they consider it a bad word, and it's not.
Oh, it's not. Let me be very clear. A liberal is not bad. A Democrat is not bad. Being a liberal or Democrat, I would say a reasonable independent that leans to the left on social issues, that is more interested in the truth than getting clicks.
That's exactly where I think I sit, my stance. But it's very refreshing to hear the other viewpoint, and typically I'd be listening to Hannity's as I'm driving. That
guy's the worst.
And people think that I'm crazy but I literally stumbled across your guys' radios, and now this is all I listen to.
I appreciate that,
and I appreciate that you don't pull any punches, and you really are. I wish folks would be more aggressive and in getting the other viewpoint, the actual truth out there.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say, my friend, and please call back anytime. I appreciate you. Another hardworking American out there. I hate, speaking of Sean Hannity, oh my God, I hate these people that call into the Sean Hannity show. Have you ever listened to Sean and these sicko fans? Hi, Sean. Hi, Sean. I love your show. Hi, Sean. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't stand it. These people that listen to Mark Levin, these are some of the worst people that America has to offer. Right? Mark Levin is an atrocious human being. Sean Hannity, how Christian of him. He divorces his wife and now is dating somebody at Fox News who's like half his age. How Christian. God, these people are some of the biggest hypocrites that America has to offer. It's just the worst. And, now more than ever, it's important for us to come together. I was very, very inspired by these No Kings protests. I really was. A lot of really nice, good, hardworking people that were there. It was very inspiring for me to see this. And I think moving forward, we need to continue to do this. We need to. You saw how agitated and how angry the Republicans were and how scared they were and how successful these No Kings protests were. Well, you might be saying, oh, Brian, why were they successful? Well, I'll tell you why. Tens of millions of people, at least 10, across the country protesting peacefully, no arrests. And the only arrests that were made were around 20 people, 22 people that were MAGA agitators. That's what I see when I see success. So, since I'm in a really good mood right now, and it's a Friday, and it's Halloween, and I'm going to be dressing up, and maybe I'll tell you guys about it on Monday. Maybe I won't, depending on what happens. Then I'm going to a fun little party. Going to see a little college football tomorrow. Going to go catch UNLV. It's going to be fun, relaxing weekend, and I hope all of you have the same. I am in a good mood right now. So, since I'm in a good mood, I'm going to be giving out a pair of tickets. So, I did debate Tim Pool in West Virginia last week. I have been invited back, but a very different scenario. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. It's the Culture War podcast in front of a live audience of, I think, 200 to 300 people. They've already sold a lot of tickets, but I have a pair of tickets to give away now. If you're going to be in Washington, D.C. next weekend, not this weekend, the day is November 8th, which is Saturday. It's a week from Saturday. I will be up there on a stage with Myron Gaines. That wasn't on my bingo card. Alex Stein, the Democrat prankster, Tim Pool, and forgive me, but the lady that I'm going to be up against, I think her name is Emily, if I'm not mistaken. She's a huge Trumper on social media as well. So we're all going to be up there. It's going to be 2 hours. It's going to be Saturday afternoon, November 8th, the Culture War podcast. And if you call in right now and you plan on being in the DC area, I will be there along with all those others that I mentioned, and you will get a free pair of tickets to watch it go down live. You'll also have an opportunity to ask questions. So it's going to be a debate format conversation, and it's always also going to be audience interaction. So I can promise you it's going to be very entertaining. So if you call right now, we'll get you a pair of tickets. 702-221-SAVE, 7283. And, you know, I want to say this before we close up the show today. Never have I ever said on this show that we shouldn't be debating the other side. Never have I ever been one of those people that said, boy, you shouldn't give that guy or that girl a platform. If somebody is a raging lunatic, then let them show it to the world, right? I will debate anybody. I don't care if it's Nick Fuentes, Tim Pool, Don Jr. I will go on any podcast, and I am not afraid to debate anybody. Never once have I ever said you shouldn't do that. I have criticized some people for not being tough enough, including Governor Gavin Newsom. I didn't think that he was tough enough on Charlie Kirk. I think he had Steve Bannon too, right? If I'm not mistaken. I didn't criticize him for having those people on his podcast. I criticized him because I didn't think he was tough enough on those people, if that makes sense. I always think good political discourse is very, very important. So I know that there's a lot of people out there, some of whom sadly listen to the show and are going to be worried that they're going to be losing their food stamp benefits tomorrow. I just want you to know that I'm on your side. And I want you to know that I feel for you. And I don't care whether you have a D or an R next to your name. I care. I want you guys to be able to have the assistance that you need to provide for your family. And I'm sorry that you're living in a country where there is at least one side of the aisle that doesn't seem to care about you. Well, I can tell you that I do. And it's not about owning the MAGA or owning the libs. It's about decency within the humanity that we have. So I'm hopeful that this doesn't last long. I'm hopeful that Republicans will come to some sort of reason and empathy for what the damage that they are doing. I am hopeful. I don't know if that is going to happen. So, FYI to all of you out there, we are an independently owned radio show. By the way, congratulations to Chuck, who just won a pair of tickets to see me in Washington, D.C., November 8th, debate Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, and Alex Stein. He just won a pair of tickets, so congratulations to you, Chuck. I try to take care of my listeners so much as I can. I will be out there in D.C., and I look forward to meeting some of my listeners out there. I'm going to be doing more events like this. I'm going to be out there more because I want to meet all of you. And I know I have listeners all over the country, in some cases all over the world, people that call in. So I'm very humbled by that. I'm going to try to get out there and meet some of you more. Check out my website. You see the website on the bottom there? I think we just had my website there. It's also my email. But the website right there at the bottom of the page that Numchuck just put up, it's pushingthelimits.live. I want, if you guys support independent radio shows and independent media, okay, I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. That can be good and bad. Trust me. But we rely on good people like you to help us leave the lights on here and to be able to do this show every day. And I appreciate you guys, all of you guys, whether it be in the YouTube Super Chat or on the website. The easiest thing for you to do, and listen, I don't care whether it's donating $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We so greatly appreciate you. You go to that website, it'll take less than 5 minutes. It'll probably take 2 minutes. Pushingthelimits.live, you'll see a little icon there that says donate. And that's it. Goes through PayPal, simple as that. And that's how you help us or what we do here so that we can continue giving you the content that we give on a daily basis. So with that being said, I'm going to be putting more content up, or my people are going to be putting more content up on TikTok, on Facebook on a regular basis. I have not done the best of job in doing that. And I have people that are going to be doing that. So, of course, the YouTube page is at PTL Radio Show. It's obviously free to subscribe. We want you guys to thumbs up and be interactive on my YouTube page. That helps us do that and spread the word and have other people subscribe to my YouTube page. We're hoping to pass 150,000 subscribers this weekend. I'm certainly very confident that we will do that. And we appreciate all you guys, and I hope everybody's safe out there on Halloween. If you have kids, show your kids a good time. Take them out for Halloween. Be safe out there. And, life is so short. We all learn that the hard way sometimes, right? Have fun, please. Have fun. Thank you to Colleen, by the way. Colleen just made a donation on the YouTube, Colleen made a donation on pushingthelimits.live. Thank you to Jacob. Jacob says, Brian, I love your show. I listen to it every day. Very generous donation from Jacob. Susie made a donation on pushingthelimits.live. Love your show, Brian. Thank you, Susie. Without people like you, I wouldn't be able to do what I do every day. So I just want you to know how appreciative I am to all of you that support what we do here. And listen, if you don't have the funds to be able to do so, I totally understand. Then just spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell people about this show. Have them subscribe on YouTube. It's free because word of mouth is awesome. There's no price you could put on that. So thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back at it on Monday, same time, same place. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus,